country. That's what we like down
Exactly.
here. We're glad that everybody's tired of us because we're in every championship game. But talk about that again, Marie. You just hit on it a little bit about how that's going to enhance the opportunities and the exposure for females and males.
Well, I think it's going to bring even more knowledge. All the amount of live events they were going to have. I think there's something like 60 women's basketball games, 100 men's basketball games. So think about the additional eyes that you're going to see on a product like a women's basketball game. There's going to be every Wednesday I'll go on the road and do a volleyball game. So the fact that we're having live broadcasts, people are going to get to know these players. People who are, if you're an Arkansas fan, but you didn't know that Arkansas was great at volleyball.
Yeah.
And now you can watch that team and maybe become a follower of a different sport. So it's just another opportunity to showcase what the SEC has to offer.
You getting ready to build up some frequent flyer miles?
Oh, absolutely. I'm ready.
Gonna be on,
skip, and jump, everywhere.
Exactly. And that's the thing I think that's so intriguing about this network that is coming in August, mid-August, I believe.
August
14th. Get ready. And all the different cable providers and the satellite providers, pretty much you guys are getting them on board weekly now. And I know there's still a few out there, but already a big contingent joining on board.
Yeah, I think we knew it was going to come down to the wire, but there's no doubt in my mind that the SEC, ESPN is still working to make sure they secure all of those cable providers. And I really believe that everyone throughout the SEC country is going to be able to view the product of SEC Network.
Well, we know you're a Bulldog. You're a two-sport athlete over there, but now you're going to be covering the entire SEC. Talk about that as in your experience at Georgia and how that's going to help you where you are now.
Well, what I love about what I get to do now is I'm still interacting with student athletes, but I have that background. So I feel like telling their stories from their point of view, really understanding what they're going through day in and day out, and what it really takes to compete at the top level, some of these players that you never really get to hear. So I'm looking forward to telling those stories. But at Georgia, playing volleyball and basketball, there's no off season.
No off season.
Sports is just your life. So I completely get it now, and sports are still my life, but in a different capacity.
Sure.
But it makes that passion that much stronger having played in the past.
Well, you're going to do some studio hosting, but you're going to be with the lead crew on the SEC Network, Brent Musburger coming over,
yep.
And, of course, Jesse Palmer, and you'll be on the sideline. Talk about that and the excitement heading into the first season because, Auburn coming back, made a national championship appearance. They're going to come back, but some really, really good teams. Alabama will be strong again. Of course, South Carolina and your Georgia Bulldogs will be very strong. Talk about being able to work with those two guys and just being able to make the trek throughout the conference this year.
Well, when I think about my crew, I think Jesse Palmer will always be dressed better than me. Brent Musburger is just a legend, the man, the myth, the legend. And then there's just little old me. I don't know how I ended up on the crew, but I'm so thankful to be there. I know we're going to have so much fun. I've worked with Jesse a couple of times on Thursday night games last year. Actually did Thanksgiving, the Ole Miss Mississippi State game together. So we've been through Thanksgiving. That kind of makes us like family, and I'm sure Brent will roll right in there and fit in, and I'm so looking forward to working with him because he is so great at his job and just such a legend. And, to start out with a game like Texas A&M at South Carolina, then we go straight into Saturday, and we got Arkansas at Auburn. Like, you can see that we're going to have some great competitive games, compelling storylines on our network. And so I'm so excited to be covering them with the crew that I'm working with.
It's going to be so fun to be able to see all of those different games. So I've got to put you on the spot here before I let you go, Maria, because I know you're busy. What's your prediction? How do you see it playing out in the East and the West? Because I know Georgia and South Carolina at the top, so take your Bulldog glasses off for a second. How do you
take
feel?
Them off. All right, let me just blur the entire East for a second. I mean, I think it's ultimately going to come down to South Carolina and Georgia. The question mark for me is which quarterback matures first. So, I mean, Hudson Mason or Dylan Thompson.
That's right.
I think that whichever one is able to grow up the fastest, they've got the running backs backing them up, but they can't take a pounding an entire season. At some point, your passing game is really going to have to get going. So I think that could be the answer. So I'm not going to tell you who's going to win the East because then Georgia Nation's going to be mad.
There you go.
Either way, there's no winning on that situation.
There you go. Well, what about the West then? Is your play in that?
My play in that, I really feel like LSU is a team to watch. I mean, they've got to be feeling like we missed out last year. There's got to be some kind of vengeance. They've got to be seeing red a little bit. So I think Alabama and LSU will be the two teams that kind of come to my mind in the West that are going to be competing at the end of the day. Now, that's not to say that Auburn doesn't come right in there and do some of the things they did last year, but whether or not, I think Gus Malzahn was talking about it before, Nick Marshall improving his accuracy, some of the things that he has to work on in the offseason. We'll see how it comes out on Saturday on SEC Network when they're playing against Arkansas, hopefully if he's able to play. But his maturity and whether or not he's grown at the quarterback position, I think could be a telltale sign for the Tigers.
Interesting stuff there, Maria. Well, I'll tell you what, August 14th, everybody join in and make sure you turn on the tube. And then, of course, those first 2 games to get it kicked off. Going to be a very exciting time. Thank you so much, Maria, for coming over.
Thanks so much for having me.
Good luck this year.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.